So, Hozier, the actual tour started like December 23, and it's been a long time. So I wanted to first know, how has it felt for you? Have you changed anything about your views on life, art, music, whatever? Is it a learning experience to be on such a long tour too?
I think it is. Anytime you go out on the road, there is. It feels like I think for me anyway, it's kind of cycles of making an album off the road, and then there's cycles of being on the road. And I think anytime you are touring, um, and this is and music is what you want to be a musician. You want to bring your music around the world. Um, each time you go out on the road, you're learning so much. You're learning about how touring works in step with your life and in step with your the way that you create and the way that so um yeah, each time is a learning experience. And I think what's made this a really enjoyable one as well too is that since the album, which was what, late 23, we've released another nearly like an album's worth of material
Yeah.
in across that time. So music to add to the set as we go, and that's been really enjoyable.
So you're still making music while you're on the road?
I was a little bit. I was finishing a lot of the work on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those songs were finished on the road, and at the
Hmm.
moment, I'm trying to, and I think that's a challenge. It's a thing musicians every time they're together ask each other, "Can you write on the road? Is it possible?" It's difficult and it's challenging, but it's like it's a fun challenge too. And but oftentimes I find I can finish work on the road, but starting it off the road is far easier, far better. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, about the album Unreal Unearthed, one of the things read some time ago is that Too Sweet didn't make the album,
Yeah,
and well, we all know what happened next. The
yeah,
song eventually came out and it became number one.
yeah.
So, what do you feel about that? What the song was ready when you were like putting together the album. So why did you leave it? Why did you leave it out?
Yeah, we actually, I don't know if it was like ready to go. It
Hmm.
was sort
Hmm.
of we had the body of it. I originally wrote the kind of riff and
Hmm.
kind of melodies to it back in 2020, when I was in Wicklow. And then sort of brought it as a demo in and started playing around with it. But we felt we, that it was it was fun. But there was other songs that were similar to it that were maybe slightly more in the world or in the tone of the album. All right, that's how I kind of felt about it. And it's funny. I wouldn't change anything about it because I think sometimes you can put a song out like Too Sweet. There's nothing to say that had we put it on the album that people would have gravitated to it the way that they gravitated to it when we. I think there's something also that things line up and the variables are huge. There's so many possible variables. Is that butterfly effect that then after a year on the road, a year with other music, then you introduce a song and the way people respond to it is very different than had you been away for 4 years and then just dropped the song, um so there's so many things about that, the way that song became a hit, that I can't even begin to explain or sort of to analyze. There's so many variables.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all kind of agreed that it was either Eat Your Young, which ended up being the first single, or Too Sweet was going to be on that album. Um, and we all agreed that Eat Your Young was what we wanted to put our time into. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So the fact that it became a hit, did it take you as a surprise?
It did. It honestly it did. Part of it
Uh,
also was that it sort of was a kind of a happy accident that the audio ended up on TikTok. It's a long story,
mhm.
um, but it had not been released, so it was sort of a. I had done a podcast and the audio went out, but
Mhm.
it was the best thing that could have happened. People had then 20 seconds of the audio, 30 seconds of the audio, and so a week before the release, or a week and a half before the release,
Mhm.
people were actually, yeah, we were doing shows in South America, and because it was around my birthday we released that song, and
Yeah.
people were before the song was released were chanting
Mhm.
for it in the crowd of a festival crowd, no less. So that took me by surprise for sure. That was a that was a blindside.
Mhm. And there was an amazing coincidence also that around the date, Too Sweet became a number one hit in the United States. Um, it was like 34 years ago that an Irish artist had the last number one hit song in the United States, who was Sinead O'Connor, around
Yeah.
the date of your birthday also. So
Yeah.
like how can you align more precisely all the stars? I don't know.
Yeah, it was crazy. It really was. It felt yeah, it's very auspicious, I don't know how to describe it, but that was so it was 34 years to the day, and it was like the week of that I was born, that the last
Mhm, mhm,
uh, US number one was an Irish artist, and
mhm.
Sinead O'Connor, and somebody who's such an important
Well, yeah.
musician and figure in the Irish landscape of music and art, So yeah, that felt wildly auspicious. Yeah. Yeah.
About Unreal on Earth, one of the sources for the album is the Inferno Dante in the Divine Comedy, right? So I wanted to ask you for like a listening guide to the album, having the references to the Divine Comedy in mind.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
do that for me?
I
To
don't
be an
know.
interested.
I don't know if you could. And there was a early demos and early songs that I ended up not I had to put to the
Mhm,
side,
mhm,
which referenced the text far too closely, and I
mhm,
didn't want the album to seem like a book report or something
mhm.
that or like a Broadway musical,
Yeah,
about
yeah. Mhm.
that's
The
following
Inferno.
characters. Yeah, it's too closely.
Mhm, mhm,
And again, Dante's Inferno is, it's over 30 cantos. So it's like
mhm,
so much, and
mhm,
it's really, really important piece of literature. But it's
mhm.
more, there's pictures from each circle, from each kind of,
Do you
yeah.
have a favorite circle?
Do I have a favorite circle? Um, I think I did. I was asked this once. I'd belong in every single one of them from Dante's point of view, because he really puts some very nice people in hell, who really don't deserve it, probably by the looks of things. Um, but I think, yeah, I think the image of the circle of lust is incredible and really iconic and very lasting. And the
It's
image that
eternal wind carrying people like forever. Yeah. Mhm,
this hurricane, yeah, and again,
mhm,
now I'm not sure if this is an expression that was from his time either. I'm sure somebody better educated than me would answer this, but the idea that those who've been swept off their feet in the mortal world are spend eternity off them and clung
mhm,
together in a hurricane, um, and also the image in my mind of the ninth circle being a frozen place and a place that is very, very interesting. This idea that because in Dante's medieval brain, all warmth came from heavenly spheres, all love and all warmth comes from
mhm.
heaven. And
Yeah.
so the furthest you are from that, so the deepest pit of hell is really where it's coldest. I
Yeah.
find that really, really interesting. And so there's lasting, and that's so an unknown from the ninth circle, or that references the ninth circle or nods to it. And Francesca would be two of my favorite songs from that record.